promising, and I think it actually leads quite nicely to the next question I was going to put to you, which is about the Bankable Feasibility Study, which was released late last month.
Yes.
One of the key things that I know you'll be seeking to do is to increase the life of mine.
Yeah.
And so expanding the resource is obviously very fundamental to that.
Yeah.
And I will talk about the Bankable Feasibility Study, which came back, and it was very impressive. I mean, you looked at the all-in sustainable costs of about $4.90, and at that time that the numbers were plugged into the spreadsheet on the main financial side of things, you were using a nickel price of about $11.60. The last couple of weeks we've seen the nickel price resume an upward trajectory. At the moment it's sitting at around about $13, and it's been nudging up to $14. The view that I have is that the base cost will be at least 13, maybe at worst case scenario is 12. But if you throw in those numbers, again, it increases the profitability of the project. Now, you had the internal rate of return of 103%, so which is pretty good by anybody's measure, for goodness sakes. So it's looking good in advance of your final investment decision process. Can you just talk a little bit more about the BFS, because you should be rightfully proud of that. It was very detailed.
Yeah, look, I mean, you know, when I got involved in the project, I looked at the work that was done for the 2018 study, and I could see that there's some other work was needed. It was a relatively short life project. I think it was less than 2 years of ore processing, and you know that to me looked to be was light on, and so we looked at this serpentinite ore, what we had underground, the high grade, and also the grade of the concentrate was concerning to me too, because having been involved in selling concentrate for 30 years and heavily involved in that back at MPI and also at Panoramic, I was concerned that the quality of that concentrate with that high MgO. So Dave Maxton, our project metallurgist, really sort of cracked the code, if you like, or had a breakthrough, and he worked out that by utilising the old Silver Swan mill, you could fine grind the rougher concentrate and add in some, and sort of two parts. The other one was add in some Silver Swan tailings, which was about 0.9 nickel, but it had a lot of iron. So that helped with your iron MgO ratio. So you end up with a 15% nickel product, which is a high grade nickel con, which is great, but also an iron MgO ratio of better than 5:1. Whereas previously, just before they stopped operating, some of the numbers that we saw on the production from the concentrate was iron MgO ratios of less than 2:1, which makes it really tough for the smelters. So I think that's been a really important point. That was an improvement from the 2018 study. We've extended the mine life out, or the processing life out, to 4 years, 3 years of ore and a year of stockpile. As you know, we're drilling now. We started yesterday to hopefully increase that reserve, so convert more of that serpentinite material in, and so we can see a pathway to extending the mine life even on the concentrate for the smelter. But there's also this opportunity around being able to process the talc carb ore, which currently is not in the mining, or it's not in the processing regime. So if you're mining it, we'll just stockpile it. But going forward, there's a much bigger resource reserve conversion potential if you go for the rougher concentrate. So I think the way that we're thinking now is the Bankable Feasibility Study that we've released in November is kind of like the base case, and that's what we'll finance the project on. That's what all the restart will be based on. But we've got a very strong feeling that, subject to the test work that we're doing on the Stage 2 project, that we'll be able to at some point in time go into the 2.2 million tonne per annum. So ramp up the feed and actually start feeding in the high talc material, which previously would create a problem with the concentrate. But then you've got the ability to sell that into a different market. So I think we've got a really exciting opportunity.